Hi, welcome back or welcome to my channel if you're new here. My name is Laura. Hi, hello, welcome. It's been a while since we had like an actual video. I know you would have seen probably my get ready with me. That was like where I was, what was going on. That's where I filmed this look. It was either a video or two ago. I don't really know, but a video that I've been putting off has been this. So I had a lot of things that I wanted to actually declutter out of my collection, and I didn't want to just like declutter them to declutter them, even though some items did just get decluttered and tossed. I don't have them in front of me. I did a big declutter, like a deep sweep of my house yesterday. It was my off day, so I did a deep sweep clean of my house and tossed a couple very expired items. I will mention them. It was literally like two things. So I will mention those, but we are just going to blow past them for the most part. So if you're interested in what I am decluttering and giving to friends, like these are getting sent over to people that I know. I'm not keeping these. They're not going in the bin. They are usable products. They are not old. They are not too old to use, that kind of thing. So these are going to someone, not just getting tossed out like the two items that I will mention did end up getting tossed out in the garbage. So yeah, we're going to end with what is the most exciting, which is eyeshadow palettes. I'm going to start with probably the least exciting things first. First thing I will talk about is I'm going to be decluttering this LA Girl Pro Color Mixing Foundation to a friend on Instagram, Veronica VC Pans. I told her I would send this to her months ago, and here I am. I am embarrassed that I still have not done it. This is like my problem. I get anxiety if I don't do something when I say I'm going to do it, and then it cripples me from doing it. I'm like, I can't do it now at all because I'm embarrassed. So I'm trying to just get past that and just do the things I say I'm going to do now, even if it is much later. Needless to say, I'm decluttering this white foundation mixer. I have no business with this. My foundations match me. I'm done holding on to that to hold on to it. And the off chance I get a foundation that doesn't match me. The rest of these items I'm going to be sending to another friend on Instagram. Her name is Caroline. Caroline. Oh my gosh, why? I'm a bad friend. Caroline. I'll have her handle on the screen somewhere, but she will be linked in the description box. So will Veronica. It's Carolyn the Panner over on Instagram. I'm sending her all of the palettes that I no longer want in my collection, and I think she'll get a lot more use out of them. She is a queen at panning eyeshadow palettes. I have watched her pan multiple palettes over the course of the past year or two. So the palettes are going to good homes, and then I have some other goodies for her as well. So I got this in gratis from Ulta. It's the Peter Thomas Roth Invisible Priming Sunscreen SPF 45. It broke me out. I think she'll like it. It's like a dimethicone, so it feels like a primer. So I think she will like that. Plus, she lives in California, so she will need that more than I will here in Michigan pretty soon. I'm also going to send her something that Haley had sent me. Haley, thank you, but it's going to go to another home. This is the Love Sick Blush by Ritual Defee. It's just a consistency that I'm not a fan of, and maybe Caroline will be, but maybe not. And if that case, she can gift it to someone that maybe she knows. So that's going to go to her. I had bought a 2-pack of the Essence Lash Princess. They sell like a 2-pack of them at Ulta for like $8. So I had bought it, and I had a single of the Essence mascara that I was using, and I was like, oh, I'll just buy the 2-pack for myself. I'll end up liking it, whatever. I hate this mascara. It transfers on me like crazy. Remember when you were a kid and you would like press like a flower or a leaf into a book? Did anyone do that when they were kids? But you would like press it into a book. That's what I feel like happens to my lashes, and then I'm left with this like ridiculous like lines on my brow bone. I don't want that to happen. I'm also going to get rid of this tattoo liner. I got this as a gift with purchase from Ulta a year or so ago. The wrapping is still on it. It's totally unused. I have cake liners that I need to get through. I don't need to hold on to a felt tip liner right now. So I have this exciting stack of palettes in front of me that I'm gonna go through, and I am gonna start with the one that I truly don't know what is in here. This is an empty BYOP It is an empty BYOP. So I did, okay. So there's literally nothing wrong with it. I just have enough. I don't need this. She can create her own BYOPs with it. I am then going to go through the stuff that was sent to me from 𝙁𝙤𝙦 that I no longer want in my collection. And the products are fine. They're good. I just either have the colors, don't like the formula, or am just like, I have another palette that's like exactly the same thing. So the first one is one that 𝙁𝙤𝙦 I saw actually declutter not too long ago. This is the I'm with the Cookie Baking Crew. I think she said it was from Target, from Beauty Bakery. I love this kind of blue so much. I was holding on to the palette really for this. But I have this color time and time again. So I'm going to give this to Caroline. I think she will enjoy it a little bit more. My camera battery is about to die, so I'm going to swap it out. So if things don't look the same, that's going to be why. So I don't know if the angle shifted or what. I literally didn't move anything, but I don't know if I zoomed the camera before and I like zoomed a teeny bit just now. Anyway, another one that I'm going to send to Caroline is going to be the Sea Color Savannah palette. Now there's absolutely nothing wrong with this palette. I do have a couple pans in there. I have 5 pans in there actually. I kind of feel bad giving this to Caroline if I'm being quite honest, but I have the dupe version of this, so I really don't need to have this version of this. You know, like I have Natasha Denona in my collection and I kind of want to keep the Natasha Denona one over this, so this one's getting sent her way. 2 that are very beautiful, but I just am not the biggest fan of the formula of them and have the colors over and over. The Nabla Side by Side palette. Now, I love my Dreamy 2 palette by Nabla. I think that's one of the most beautiful palettes ever. I only had one dud shade in that palette, and I actually ended up just crushing it out and putting something else in its place, and it makes it so much more beautiful in my opinion. But I just am not a fan of the textures of the shimmers in this palette. They're more of that like malleable kind of formula, and I just like there's a lot more like topper shades in here, and maybe I'm getting more into topper shades, but I don't want and need topper shades in neutrals. Like I want sparkly, colorful topper shades. I don't need like a topper that's a neutral shade, and it's just like Caroline's a teacher. She's going to get a ton of use on this palette day in and day out. So it's going to go better to her than it's going to be suited in my collection. One that I almost want to keep, but ultimately I'm going to open this and just make... No, this is going to go to her too. And part of me wants to keep it because it's Odin's Eye, and I have not tried Odin's Eye before this. And if I'm hearing correctly, I just binge watched a bunch of 𝙁𝙤𝙦's videos last night, so I'm like know all of her stuff going on right now apparently. So what she has said is that the Odin's Eye palette formula, from like what they created first, and like Alva I think was one of the first eyeshadow palettes that they created, up to like their current palettes, like the collab palettes they've been doing, the Christmas palettes, I'm sure and 𝙁𝙤𝙦 said the formula is just getting better from what she's tried. So I'm thinking that this formula is just their original formula and they've just improved upon it by now. I'm going to talk about the one that I just decided last night that I was not going to keep in my collection anymore. And that is this guy here. I got this in gratis from work. This is the Jaclyn Cosmetics. This is the Dear Mom palette, but they've rebranded this to, I believe it's called the Luxe Legacy or something like that. Now, this is like, this color story screams me. There's no argument. Like, this is literally my bread and butter kind of color story. But as I've been kind of in a makeup rut with, like, she's still kicking. Yes, yes. I've been kind of in a makeup rut since I've been panning Subculture, and I have panned the majority of this palette, and like, they would go so well together. There's no argument with that. But again, I have colors very similar to Subculture in my collection and very similar to these. Plus, these shimmers aren't special enough for me anymore that justify me wanting to keep this. They're buttery, they're smooth, they're beautiful. I want a little bit more interesting shades, like a little bit of a shift, not just like what you see is what you get kind of color. So I think Caroline, I keep like flipping how I want to say your name. I'm so sorry. But I think she's going to get a lot more use out of this, and it's going to add more variety to her collection than it is going to in my collection. So I'm content parting with this. I got this a couple months ago, so it is almost brand spanking new. I did like a finger swatch of a couple shades on Instagram, and then I think I did like maybe 2 eye looks with this palette, like total. So not a lot, and it's gonna be like it's a almost brand new palette. So I'm like totally fine passing that along. I'm like shocked. I'm gonna get rid of my Natasha Denona Love palette. Now, these are just, I should have known better when I bought this. So I bought this on a Black Friday deal where they had bundled 3 of their MIDI palettes together. It was this, Sunrise, and Zendo. And I kind of knew that I really was buying that trio for the 2 other palettes, and this was kind of like a bonus palette where I'm like, okay, I can like try the pinks and purples. Maybe I like them, maybe I don't. I don't like them. It's just not my kind of cup of tea. You'd think I've been really embracing more pink eyeshadows with my pink hair, but I don't like this kind of color story. What I've been doing more so is taking like a topper shade that has like a really crazy like pink shift to it and pairing it on top of the orange, or like pairing it with something that's like a little bit more grounding, but it has that pink reflect. The next one pains me a little bit. The next one actually makes me very sad. So in the beginning of the year, I got my first true PR package from Fantasy Cosmetica. It was the Druid palette. I was so excited about it. I think I did a video on it. Anyway, I'm like very long-winded to say I was very happy about the Fantasy Cosmetica had reached out. They had reached out for their second palette, which is so beautiful, and it is the palette that I am depressed that I have to get rid of today. And I don't have to get rid of this, but this is not going to get the love it needs in my collection. This is the Sorcerer palette by Fantasy Cosmetica. It's so beautiful, and it has one of the most unique shades in my whole collection. And I am waiting and hoping that Jordan from Fantasy Cosmetica comes out with these as singles, because this palette is so beautiful. This palette is so beautiful. These 2 shades, like this one here, Arcane and Polymorph, are some of the most beautiful shades I have ever used. Polymorph in particular. So here is Arcane. It's super beautiful. I have things similar to it. This shade Polymorph, this guy here, the depth of it is like a minty turquoisey blue, and then that purple reflect in it. It is one of my absolute favorite shades that I've ever used, ever put on my eyes, hands down. I thought it went really well. It was like a nice like bridge the gap, a nice juxtaposition between like mints, the colors that I really love, and like the pinky purples that were in my hair right now. This palette irritates my eyes, though, every other shade besides these 2. So like these pinks and purples, they irritate my eyes. Every single time I put it on, I would get like tearing in the outer corner. So I'm just allergic to something in the pinks or in purples in this palette. So again, really it's mainly the mattes in this one. I'm so sad about it. And part of me was like, well, I can just take these 2 shades out, and I don't want to do that. I want to give this palette in its whole entirety to someone that's going to love and like enjoy the shades and like how special it is. I did let Jordan from the brand know that these did irritate my eye, and that I was going to just gift it to someone that would get more use out of it. Like no monetary value would be exchanged. She's just getting this giant care package of stuff. The other 2 items that I ended up just like, one of them was kind of an impulse thing, and then the other one was like, again, it was an impulse thing. So I ended up decluttering my BH Cosmetics Take Me Back to Brazil palette. The thought of eventually having to use any of those shades up actually caused me grief. I was like, I'm not ever going to be ready to want to use this again. Then I also decided I had, if you didn't see, I depotted all of my Juvia's Place eyeshadow palettes. I'll link it in the cards. And really that has just become the slow death of like moving all of those palettes out of my collection. I probably should have just decluttered them when I had them as whole entire palettes. They are years and years old, so they could have just gone in the trash, but instead I dismantled all of them, recycled the cardboard, which was good of me, and then was left with like the shells of these palettes. And one palette that I had told myself that I was going to hold in its entirety, even though I dismantled it, was the Nomad palette, because I wanted to try it out before I decided what to do with it. And I will never have time to figure out or do a look with it because I'm constantly thinking of the things that I have to freaking pan all the time. So I have those shades again, time and time and time again in my collection. I just said, to heck with it. I'm just not going to fool with this. It's going in the bin. It's going in the bin. I do still have plenty of shades from Juvia's Place still lingering in my singles now as depotted, repanned shades, but I no longer have any of the palettes. I have decluttered a large sum of these palettes now, and I'm feeling like a breath of fresh air with my collection now. I'm so happy with where things are, and I'm ready to feel re-inspired and get re-excited about the things that I am using again. And it's a long time coming because even now, it's the December 1st and I'm filming this. I was putting all my things away yesterday and I was like telling myself, you have free reign to anything you want. You can pull any eyeshadow palette, any highlight. You can just pick whatever you want. I am still incapable of picking anything other than my Project Pan items or things that I was panning before. Like I took a 4-month YouTube hiatus. So I'm just ready to feel re-inspired. Long story short, I hope you found some excitement to declutter your collection if maybe you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed with the eyeshadow that you're having and thinking about like certain item is causing you like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to do this eventually. Just get rid of it. No one's telling you that you have to suffer through and use it. Just do what makes you the happiest. That's not going to overwhelm you. That's not going to cause you grief. Maybe throwing out things or decluttering like this does cause you grief because you're looking at the money signs that you just spent go away. But to me, someone else is going to enjoy these items much more than I'm going to enjoy these items. I know you can see Ripley's little cat ears right now. But he's right here. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you guys are staying healthy, sane, and safe. And I will catch you in the next video. Bye!